Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Email Marketing Best Practices. My name is Chelsea McCoy, Product Marketing Manager for Zoomerang Online Surveys and Polls. Today we've come together with Lorrie Thomas to show how to grab the attention of your customers and get your message in front of a larger audience by following top email tips. And for all you Twitter followers out there, you can keep up with the buzz about today's presentation using hashtag email to-dos listed on the bottom of the slide. And now let's jump over to the agenda. Great. We will start by hearing a little bit more about our guest speaker, Lorrie Thomas, and then she's going to jump right in and give us those great tips on how to get the most bang for our buck with our emails. So now let's hear a little bit more about our speaker, Lorrie Thomas. First off, let me say how thrilled we are to have Lorrie Thomas, aka the Marketing Therapist, join us for today's webinar. Lorrie is the CEO of Web Marketing Therapy, a boutique web marketing agency and training company that diagnoses, prescribes, and guides healthy marketing solutions. Lorrie's a marketing strategist, educator, writer, web marketing expert, and speaker. She really does it all. And with that, welcome, Lorrie.
Thank you, Chelsea. Really fun to be here today, and gotta love the virtual education process. So everyone listening, hi, welcome, and congratulations in advance for taking some time out of your busy schedules to get web marketing savvy. So I'm going to jump right into it. Email marketing actually has gotten quite a bad rap these days, more because there's so many new things like social media and things like that. But still, the majority of us use email as our primary method of communication. And so with email, it's a way to connect, it's a way to educate, it's a way to connect with people. And so for those of us who are in the marketing business, and actually everyone in some way, shape, or form is in the marketing business to communicate, build awareness, et cetera, it is very important for us to not disregard email as part of our marketing puzzle. So the first thing that we want to do when we are looking at email marketing best practices is to set clear goals. Sometimes we get a little too fixated on the tools and technology, not how we use the tools to brand, to build, and boost business. So email goals are going to be, think of it like as your North Star. It's your compass. It's your guiding light. Why am I sending an email out? Am I going to send a newsletter? Do we have a product recall? Do we want to survey our valuable customers to learn how we can better develop products for them? What is your goal? And that could be anything from education, from here's some great articles we wrote last month, to things like promoting your brand. That could be somewhat salesy. It just depends on your goal. Do you want to inform customers about some new tools, tips, tricks, whatever? Do you want to broaden your audience? Could you use email as a way to do a viral campaign to help further amplify and build your list? Also, a lot of marketers set the goal so that it becomes something. Let's see here. I'm getting a quick little message here to minimize my screen, and let's see if I can hopefully do that here. I'm trying here. I will. Hopefully that's good. But as far as ways to stay on top of mind for customers, I always remind folks that our best customers are our current customers, and they need to be reminded, and we need to keep the love alive. And a monthly newsletter could be something as easy as doing that. Remember that email marketing is a way to acquire customers, but do not discount the ability for email as a way to retain customers by continually communicating with them, educating them, informing them, and also for some of us that are looking to upsell, resell services, that's also a good thing. At the end of the day, marketing is making relationships. Quick tip as we're looking at helpful hints, a clear goal is going to help successfully get your point across when you're doing email marketing. You may be tasked with running your email marketing for your organization. Well, first and foremost is, why am I doing this? How am I going to do it? But most importantly, what is my goal? Once you have that goal set, the what is defined, and then the how to do it becomes very clear. Some best practices for email is when we're creating content, remember that web surfers scan. They don't read. They scan more than they read. So when you can, use shorter sentences. If you have a newspaper that's very different than an email newsletter or web copy, if you can say something in a one-liner or a bullet, that really helps break up the noise. Think of all the emails we all get on a day-to-day basis, and we're looking at all the gobbledygook. If we have a clear, bold headline with a little intro paragraph and a clear, bold headline with a little paragraph, or here's the top articles you recommend you read this month, and all you see are links to the names of the articles that link into the full article off the email, things like that can really help break it up. So do not feel obligated to write a novel in the body of an email campaign. Remember that graphics help break up text. Pictures, speak 1,000 words, and nowadays videos are speaking volumes. But anytime we can put a little bit of what I like to call eye candy in those emails, that really helps tell and show versus just using text to get your message across. Find ways to engage your readers. Remember that web, unlike other forms of marketing like traditional or print or something like that, it's a two-way conversation. And so what you can say is, we'd love to know what you think of this. Please post your comment on our blog, or tell us what you think. And you can include a poll or a survey in the body of your email. That really helps let someone reading know that their feedback is important and that they're valued. And also, don't over-deliver. Sometimes we tend to feel obligated to put a month's worth of content into an email message, and sometimes shorter is better. If there's a new product, focus on that product. Don't feel the need to put that in a newsletter that maybe has 12 different sections where that may get varied. So have a clear goal, number one. Number two, follow some best practices as you're looking at right here. Keep the focus on these short sentences and minimizing copy. And just remember that we all have short attention spans. This is a 30-minute webinar because we all have businesses to run and work to do. So just like we're doing that here with Zoomerang, we're also reminding you for your email to keep it simple. Think about the copy that you're writing, and let's say you're doing it for print, you're almost going to want to do like half or less for online. And anytime you can link to a read more or learn more or read the full article, or here's 5 articles we recommend, then those link to the articles. You don't have to post the entire article in there. You can just link to it. So what you're doing is you're leveraging email, like for an example with the Read More, as a way to build site traffic to get people to your site, but in a way that's meaningful. This is an example of a day spa in Santa Barbara, California, where I live, called Cielo Spa Boutique. And she's a small business, and she has a newsletter that she sends out monthly, and she has a regular routine, so it's on the calendar. Clear design, very conversational because that's her authentic voice. Notice the picture. She was in Day Spa magazine, and she has a picture, so your eye kind of goes, oh, okay, I see that. But instead of, transcribing the whole article, which one is a copyright no-no, but two, it would be a total email best practices no-no for the recipient to be like, I don't want to read a book in my email. I want to scan. And if I want to drill down, it says read the entire article here. So shorter sentences, less copy, and think of just like on a web page, you have space that you can architect and use because it's real estate. Same thing with your email. The body of your email, from design, text, bold headlines, links, it's how you architect it. So little thought makes a big difference. The average reading speed is 25% slower online than with traditional print. And so with traditional print, I think it's more of a practice. Like, I'm going to sit down and have a cup of coffee and read the paper. And if we're going to be reading slower online, we want to really make sure that we're leveraging design, headlines, links as a way to engage people and make sure that we're making their user experience as positive as possible. And graphics, like I said earlier, pictures speak 1,000 words. Any type of pictures, drawings can really break up a monotonous email template. Not to mention, it can really help position your organization as being more credible. Image descriptions, they'll supplement information and tell a story. Like, this is a Telecity group, and they have this beautiful picture of a home, and they're talking about celebrating some of their success. This is more of a branded type, kind of keep the love alive strategic goal. And they're also tying it into a customer event. Notice the customer event is in bold red highlighting to help tie it in. You get familiar with the organization, the logo's at the top, big, bold, celebrating success, then tying into the piece. So big headline, little bit of text, and then tying into the customer event. Short, sweet, to the point. This was really well done. And remember that promotional emails don't have to have a lot of content. They can be, 50% graphic to text ratio. When we are selling, it's kind of thinking about like when we say things over the phone, and any of you listening who are salespeople, you know that if you handed a customer a 12-page document and said, hey, we're such a great organization, you should work with us, here you go, they're kind of like, can you give me the sales pitch? And when you can really get the succinct, pithy, powerful statement across, that's going to help you win the sale. It's the stuff that you say to someone over the phone or something that you summarize in an email, or really that last little like nugget of educational wisdom you throw out at a customer that's like, okay, I got it, versus I don't have time to read a 12-page document. These promotional emails can be really mindfully executed, and pictures can really help tell the story and also sell your story. Ways to engage your readers. Zoomerang, obviously, being an incredible survey company, I'm a customer myself, and a lot of our clients through Web Marketing Therapy are as well. When you're sharing your knowledge and expertise, and I don't encourage you to give away your secrets necessarily, I encourage you to, share your thought leadership, but also, be mindful that you're valuing your worth. Find a way to engage folks, and people want to be heard. There is nothing more powerful than saying, your feedback is important to us. We want to hear from you. We want to serve you better. We want to create better products for you. And you can make it fun. You can do polls. You can share the results. I love the sharing the results thing, because it takes it from here's my feedback, but it creates that community of like, ooh, I want to see what other people say. Lots of fun. Contests and giveaways can also be something you can tie in to your email campaigns to engage your readers. And don't forget humor and personality. Whether you're a bank and you're serious, that's your personality, or you do designs for cast covers if your kids have a broken bone and they don't want to wear an ugly cast. Find what your organizational voice is and make sure that is communicated consistently on your website and your email messaging, even down to your surveys. The way that you ask a question needs to be clear so people understand it, but to get the feedback you're looking for really can be a fun communicative experience. Think about your web marketing and your email marketing is like being at a backyard barbecue. When you start to approach this stuff, when you're at a backyard barbecue, you don't push propaganda down the person next to you that you're sharing, the ketchup with. You're actually saying something to them, and you're engaging them and asking them a little bit about themselves and all of that. That's the same way we'd approach our marketing communications. And I just want to reinforce the power of interaction via surveys and polls. It's no different than being at that backyard barbecue and saying, so, how do you make your hamburger? Or like, how many kids do you have, or whatever? That is natural interaction. With the web, we can use technology like surveys to capture mass opinions in a way that we can easily take it back and quantify it. And strong call to action, best email marketing thing you can do. People need to be told what to do or guided to what we would like them to do when they're online. And when we drive readers to act now, it doesn't have to be like the cheesy infomercial, but wait, there's more kind of thing. It could be just as simple as we're limiting the number of people to make these reservations, or we have a limited number of seats, or there was a great article that we read, or a great article that our CEO wrote, and to read the full article, you can click here. When you invite people to click here, to learn more, to buy now, to take action, to reserve today, those are call to action words. They're imperative verbs that imply action. So make sure that when you're writing that copy, you can weave that in there. And your CTAs, your call to action, I encourage you to use that acronym in a sentence after the webinar to sound like a really cool geek. Make those call to actions easy to find. Bold them, underline them, whatever it needs to do to help the eyes gravitate towards it. And call to actions do not have to be call to action singular. They can be multiple. And here's an example of what that looks like. This is an example of a newsletter. This is actually one that we did through my organization through Web Marketing Therapy, and it was some featured marketing tools, 10 things you knew about online marketing but forgot. Download now. And then we mentioned another free ebook that we offer on our website, and we did another download now. The download now was bold, it's big, it's blue, and some people may not want to know about the 10 things you know about online marketing, but they do want to understand why to use a coming soon holding page if your website is under construction. So those two call to actions create multiple opportunities for an organization to create that connection. And don't over-deliver. I love this image. Thank you, Zoomerang, for this. It's the overstuffed mailbox, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate. I mean, think about your personal email inbox. When you get messages that are meaningful, you enjoy them. When your messages are overstuffed with pushy, useless propaganda, you're like, ugh. So when you're doing something, make sure that it has value. Just write that down on a sticky note. Anything you're doing with your email marketing, what value does it have to the recipient? Newsletters can be great. They can recycle a lot of your existing content, some of your top blog posts, some articles, even your top tweets. I've seen top tweets in email newsletters, and they're just broken out in a really cool bulleted way to help people scan. But find something that is valuable to say and be mindful of the timing of them. A newsletter, usually monthly, not weekly. Promotional events, definitely, not all the time. They need to be when you have something important to say. And when you're over-delivering, you run the risk not only of a low open rate, meaning people are just going to be like, okay, you're like the little company that cried wolf, I'm not going to open your emails anymore, but you also have a high unsubscribe rate risk. And I've actually seen organizations do this, and this is where my marketing therapist hat goes on. I've had to diagnose organizations from being dangerous to themselves and others. They're building their lists, and they're also killing it on the back end by over-delivering. And one of the solutions, one is to have a clear privacy policy that addresses how you use communications. And my other tip and my other bit of email to-do advice is to make sure that you segment your list. You may have a list of only people who want the email newsletter. You may only have a list of people who are current buyers. And the more you can segment the list so these email messages are targeted to specific audiences, the better. Let's say you're a fashion organization and you have an events calendar and you have fashion news and you have people who are existing subscribers to a magazine. Those are three different lists. And if you're sending the same message to all three of those people, it's not as targeted and you're sending, you're oversending. So your privacy policy addresses how you use email communications. It's actually a legal must, but segmenting your list is also a great way to manage your email marketing. And how do I get my customers' attention? Here's the confused puppy dog face. I don't know. Well, number one, you got to be trustworthy. In this wild, wild web world that we're all working and living in, people need to know us, they need to like us, and they need to trust us. And 60% of people open emails based on the from line. So if it says Honda dealer of San Jose, that may not be as trusted as Ronald Anthony, Honda sales guy. And people are like, oh, I know Ronald, he's my sales guy. So think about what's going to be most trustworthy. Is it going to be the name of your CEO that everyone knows? Is it going to be the name of your organization? Like for us, people do open emails from Web Marketing Therapy because we have a really targeted opt-in list for people who only say, yes, send me info. So think about that. And the subject line or the from line could be you, could be your organization, could be one of the team leaders' names. Think about what that line is. And also, are you interesting? The subject line has to be compelling, whether it's Honda product recall, it's like, woohoo, I'm listening, that's important. Or are you going to use the same thing every month like Wells Fargo small business newsletter? Actually, Wells Fargo, I encourage all of you to check out their newsletter. They do a great job at taking a ton of info, but very mindfully monthly sending it out in a way where it's actually very useful. And what makes it useful is the quality of their content. And people do start to anticipate that newsletter. And so that subject line makes sense versus something like free ebook or free webinar from Zoomerang. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm interested. Subject line no-nos. These are things that often help get your emails in the spam filters, which isn't going to do any of us any good. Things like excess punctuation, using 3 capitals or using 3 exclamation points, things like that flag a spam filter. All capitals, also flags the spam filters. The F word, free, is something that really gets people's attention, like if it's free webinar or free ebook. But if you're finding that you're not getting all of your email messages through, sometimes looking at, gosh, I've used the F word, free, in my subject line and 16 times in my newsletter, the excessive use of that can be a flag. So I'm not saying to don't use the word free, but just be mindful that sometimes that does become a flag. Excess use of imperative verbs, get, buy, take, anything like that. And actually, I've seen organizations put the recipient's name in the subject line, things like Lorrie, have you heard? And emails like that are actually tricks to help someone be like, have I heard what? I don't know. Click, open, voila, there's your spam. So putting the name in the subject line also could be a flag. These are things to just be mindful of if you have issues getting your email messages through the spam filters. And nowadays with email management technology, you can run your message through a spam filter before you do it. And I encourage you all to take that extra 30 seconds, and that can save you a lot of email ISP blocking. Quick tip, and this source is from Constant Contact. There's a great 222 email marketing rule. You have 2 seconds to see who the email's from. Do they know you, like you, and trust you? Plus the first 2 words of the subject line. So if you're going to put anything important in the subject line, put it into the first 2 words. Don't put it at the end. Put it in the beginning. And answer the why today. Why should someone do something? Is there an article that someone should read? Is there a newsletter that's important? Is there a new event coming up? Being mindful of the 2-2-2 rule always helps ground me when I'm creating email messages. And encourage forwarding. This is one of my favorite pieces when it comes to email marketing best practices. There are easy peasy ways to let others spread the word for you, and all you need to do is put some easy widgets into your newsletter and ask people to help you. Help your audience help you out. And when you add social media widgets to your email, you can share your news on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Like this is a B2B newsletter. It's a magazine for marketing strategists. And you'll see up here at the top, there's a little forward, there's a Facebook widget, a LinkedIn, a Twitter. What you're doing is you're giving readers choices. But these are also call to actions indirectly in the form of a widget to help take this message. And if I'm like, oh my gosh, this is such a great newsletter, I want to forward it to my wild web woman at Web Marketing Therapy, I'm going to hit the forward button, and it just makes it so easy. I don't have to think about doing it. I just click it. So great use of call to action in the form of images. And these are ways to take all the hard work you do and help take it a next level. Any signups that you can have, it sounds, sometimes people are like, well, people have signed up for my email newsletter, so why would I ask people to join my newsletter list? You can have a nice join our mailing list block. I would encourage you to put that in all of your emails, because as people start to forward the B2B newsletter to people, or they send it in social media and people find it, people who are not already opt-in people will have the opportunity to join the mailing list. So think outside of the email marketing box a little bit. And when you ask people to join your mailing list, it helps take the forwarding efforts you did to the next level. And email is our friend. Social media is wonderful, and we're going to be doing a webinar in the next couple weeks about sophisticated social sophisticated social media marketing. So I encourage you to stay in touch with Zoomerang, because we're doing 3 more webinars in this series. But remember that email, although a little more old school, is still a classic, and it educates our audience, it boosts our brand visibility, and when done well, can really position you as an authority. And in the word authority is the word author. Author your content, author newsletters, take content you've already authored on your blog and articles, whatever, and become a web gemologist and put that together and assemble that as maybe an email. And be sure to take advantage of surveys and polls as a way to really take and educate yourselves about who your audiences are and what they're looking for as well. It's fun, it's inexpensive, and it works, and it's all super trackable. I would love to open up the floor. I think we have a little bit of time, and Chelsea, I'll have you moderate those for any questions and answers.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lorrie. There were a ton of questions that came in, so let me just get started. Lorrie, if you want to flip to the next slide, that has your contact information in case people would like to contact Lorrie or me at Zoomerang directly. So let me just jump right in with the first question, and it was asked a couple different times. The first is, I love using images in my emails, but I'm afraid that readers have their images turned off. What should I do?
Great question. And yes, now a lot of email services do have the email messages turned off. If the message comes from a trusted source, either through the from line or the subject line, people will hit that select image, or there's also the option to say like always enable images from those folks. When we design newsletters, either for our personal email marketing or for our clients, we always try to find that healthy ratio. So the headlines that support the image, or even the little caption under the image will support it. But what we do is we find that healthy ratio and are mindful that people may not all see the images, so we make sure there's enough text there and that it's not all image. But you also can measure that through your email technology companies and things like that. So find that healthy balance and be mindful of it. The fact that a lot of you have asked that question means that you're critical thinkers, and that's great. But remember that as you're building trust through your messages, people will start to elect to see your images too.
Great. The next one had to do with the call to action and multiple calls to action. And is it okay to ask for the same call to action multiple times?
Yes, when it comes, I wish I had here's the secret sauce for email marketing. Every organization is different. If you're a nonprofit and you're encouraging people to read your annual report, that's a call to action. If you're talking about, let's say you're the Breast Cancer Fund and you're a nonprofit that does research for environmental, stuff, you may have several read this report, read this report, read this report, and in the email, let's say the goal of the email, we'll start with lessons from today. The goal of the email is to educate people about some new research that's come out, and maybe there's 4 new research articles. Yeah, the read the full article, read the full article, read the full article is absolutely relevant as long as your email is architected in a way where there's clear segments from headlines and things like that. But yes, absolutely, and you can always test. That's the beauty of anything web marketing related is we create these ideas, we execute them, and then we can monitor them through our tracking, whether it's built into your email technology is usually the way that it happens.
Great. And you had mentioned about segmenting your lists. Do you have tips on doing this if your customer list is already, or your customer base is not already segmented?
Great question. And most organizations, especially small to mid-size, they're focused on building a quality opt-in list first versus, hi, we'd like to have you opt in, and here's 3 choices or 6 choices. And people are like, I just want to sign up, back off. Let's say you build a really quality opt-in list and you hit that point. You've got a large number of people, but now all of a sudden you have different email goals. You may have events to promote, new products, existing customers that may need frequent emails to keep the love alive with them. That's 3 different groups. A couple ways you can do that. One, internally, if you work for an organization where you have internal CRM, customer relationship management technology, your CRM people can help you segment that by doing queries, often SQL queries, or there's some sort of tie-in. Beauty of being in marketing is sometimes you can walk down the hall and be like, here's what I need, now how do we do it? Or for most of us that are using usually like an inexpensive third-party email technology like a Constant Contact or something, what you would do is you could reach out to that email list and say, we are really focused on sending you targeted messages, and we'd like to ask you what types of messages you would like. Please let us know. And also for those of us who are wanting to segment the list from the get-go, we can technically build that into the sign-up process. So there's a couple different ways to do it. All very Googleable as far as finding out how to do it. But I find that really just being authentic and saying, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, please let us know what list you'd like to stay opted into, and voila.
Great. And it looks like we're almost out of time, so I'm going to squeeze in one more question, and then we can wrap it up. The last question. You mentioned asking for feedback through a survey as a way to interact with the readers. Should I include the survey in every newsletter I send?
One, I will not should, SHOULD on any of you, but you could if there's value in having it. And I always go back to when in doubt, what's the value? What's the value to the organization, but most importantly, what's the value to the recipient? And if these are fun, funny, helpful, whatever surveys, and if they're short and easier polls, then sure, it could be woven into every newsletter. For some of us, we may be taking polls that are a little more kind of one time. So think about what the poll would include. And the poll could be, what blog topics are you most interested in, or what webinars do you want to have? Actually, this is we're doing these webinars today because of Zoomerang asking everyone what they wanted. I mean, this was really what the Zoomerang email list said that they were looking for, and this was a one-time thing. They're not going to ask this in every email in the future, but they did it. It was specific. The goal was clear. The execution was mindful. So if it's something that's what did you think of this newsletter? Please let us know. Yeah, that could be in every newsletter. But if it's more, kind of intense querying or polling, then we may want to diversify a little bit.
Great. Thank you so much, Lorrie. We really appreciate you being our guest today. And thank you all to all of our attendees for joining us today. As a follow-up, we'd love to hear your feedback in a survey that you'll see after the webinar. Thanks again, and have a great day.